In this interview, I spoke with Marc Blinder, the CEO of Icon and core contributor to Or Network. And I'm personally a really big fan of what they're building. Among the things that they're doing, Or Network allows you to create wallets on several different blockchains, and the private keys are derived from the email and password you use for Web 2.0, so your Google or your Apple account. I can't stress enough how much this is needed in the crypto industry. And when you consider the implications for blockchain gaming, where you can control all of your play to earn addresses in one place and without leaving the game to sign transactions, to me, it's one of the best solutions that I've seen to ease the onboarding of new users to crypto without bombarding them with how to create a MetaMask wallet and how to manage your recovery phrases and all these other things that we deal with on a regular basis. Now, with all that said, there would obviously be staggering privacy and security concerns by having all of these wallets controlled from one account. But one, most people aren't good at privacy or security to begin with. And two, we covered privacy and security in depth in our last interview, and we talked about it again in this one. So I really recommend watching it if that's a consideration for you, which it should be. Now, to be transparent, I do have a small bag of Or tokens. I've been accumulating a little bit since they launched. And for me, it's kind of an all or nothing thing where I'll either hold it until it's largely adopted, or I'll just write it off if it isn't. But either way, I think that they are progressing the industry and worth checking out. But please do your own research, and don't consider this financial advice or anything, because I'm not a financial advisor or an investment advisor. I'm not endorsing Or Network, and I didn't get paid to make this video or say any of this. I'll always be very clear when I do a sponsored video. Now, with that long intro out of the way, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to DeFi Now. I'm Josh Cross here with Marc Blinder, the CEO of Icon and core contributor to Or Network. Marc, thanks for coming back on the channel.
No, it's a pleasure. Good to be back.
So it was actually, I was a little surprised that it had been around 4 months since we last talked. So a lot has happened since then. I want to give, I think, for people that didn't watch our first interview, we can give kind of a brief overview. What is Or Foundation?
Yeah, so Or Foundation is the nonprofit that launched the Or Network, which is a blockchain, and the Or token as well, which is the native digital asset that kind of manages the utility on the blockchain. And
you are a core contributor to Or Network, but you're the CEO of Icon. Do you want to kind of share what the relationship is there?
Yeah, so Icon, we work for the Or Network and we build products on top of the Or blockchain. So we are like a contractor, if you want to get into the details, to the Or Foundation. And the foundation is a nonprofit. They give out grants. Developers who want to apply, let me know. I'm happy to help shepherd that along. But yeah, for us, we're a company that launches software products on top of Or. It's sort of in the model of like where Consensus, they're the Ethereum Foundation.
Okay. So it's already a nonprofit, but is it a DAO?
Not yet, but that's something that we're really passionate about. And we're actually rolling out some DAO related products later this year. And we definitely want to help make that transition in the future.
Sweet. Okay. So you mentioned, I just want to briefly kind of touch base on this. You mentioned that if developers are interested in developing something for the foundation, then you have grants available. What kind of things do you have in mind?
Our vision with the Or Network and Or ID was always to have something that worked across multiple blockchains, right? Giving people one digital identity that worked across many different blockchains. And so the thing we need most often are developers that want to help build plugins that communicate to new blockchains. Right now, we support 5 different blockchains. We'd like to support dozens. So if you have a chain you're really passionate about and you're a developer for already, let us know, get in touch, and you could probably get a grant with a lot of Or tokens attached to it to help build this cross-chain feature of the blockchain.
Are there specific chains that you haven't connected to yet that you're the most interested in connecting to next?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Solana is pretty high on the list. The next chain we're going to launch is Polygon, but that is almost done. So I don't think we don't need help there. But yeah, Solana would be big. Polkadot and Kusama has work that's been done, but if there's people who want to help, that would be fabulous too. Actually, embarrassingly, we still have never done a plugin for Bitcoin. So any Bitcoin maxis that are listening, get at us. Like, we definitely want that. And obviously it's a huge market and we'd really like help there.
Which chains are you already working on?
Yeah, so Ethereum, of course. Algorand is a great partner of ours. We love Algorand. We work on EOS, Wax. Wax is really big, obviously, for the gaming community, and Telos as well.
So, you mentioned a little bit about ORID, and we talked about it quite a bit in the last video. And that's, you have like two main products that you guys work on. There's ORID and the OR Vaults. Maybe let's do a little, like, what is ORID?
To put it simply, ORID is an easy login system that works across multiple blockchains. And it's really designed to help Web 2.0 users move into Web 3.0. I like to say we like to make the future look like the present. So you can log in with your Google account, you log in with your Apple ID, you log in with your Facebook. We just make it really easy to get onto the blockchain and using an app or a dApp really quickly. And for a lot of our customers at Icon are businesses. So typically the way it gets set up is that business will be paying for those accounts for their users, right? So on Ethereum, an account might be free, but on Algorand, you have to pay a small amount of tokens. On Wax, you pay a small amount of tokens. And so the way our system works, those companies are going to pay for your account, but you're going to own that account. So we really are believers in decentralized identity and you owning your own identity. We're just trying to make that much easier.
That's really cool. That I don't remember. Maybe we discussed it in the last one, but you're saying that the like maybe the dApp developer, like they can pay your gas fees for you to help onboard new users. So users don't have to create a wallet, somehow get some Ethereum off an exchange, and then learn how to self-custody and then move it over and then be able to use the dApp. So you're saying that they can kind of make that process more smooth.
Exactly. And I mean, this is super relevant for some of these chains where, Algorand, like a transaction fee on Algorand is 1 milli algo. So it costs almost nothing. But the problem is getting 1 milli algo is as hard as getting like $10,000 worth of algo, right? You like set up an exchange account, like KYC and like link your bank account, and you come back 3 days later and like all of a sudden you can pay for your first transaction. With ORID, the developer can pay for that transaction for you and your account creation. And so it's not that it's so much money, but it just makes it so much easier to get that adoption.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. There's that, like, I'm really interested in is finding projects that can help to ease the onboarding process for new users because it's so painful. And I think, having like dApp developers, especially, I mean, maybe not on Ethereum, but on the cheaper chains, it makes sense to just have the dApp developers maybe have their infrastructure costs or whatever, like however they can separate it, but they pay the costs to onboard the new users. So a user just needs to make an account just like they do in Web 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we like to talk about blockchain for the other 99%, because if you look at the numbers, there's almost 5 billion people on the internet right now, 5 billion, right? Most of those on their phone. And there's probably like 50 million people that actually use blockchain applications. So that's only 1% of the internet. And there's so much growth ahead of us if we can actually make it easy enough that you can onboard that mass market of users.
Cool. I think you mentioned Wax earlier. I think gaming, especially when we start talking about play to earn games, is probably one of the maybe most relevant now use cases for this, especially if, all you have to do is make, an account and then all of a sudden you can play and you can earn. And then, maybe you have other ways for them to have a fiat on ramp to fiat. Maybe that's an off ramp. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what kind of gaming projects are using this or could use this.
I think the best example of our customers right now that are using a gaming use case is Red Fox Labs. They have a play to earn NFT game called Cogs Slam, KOGS. It's in the Google Play Store right now if anyone wants to download it and try it out. That uses ORID and the OR network to create those accounts and also for them to pay your transaction fees so you don't have to. The game's just a fun game where you smash these cogs against your friends, and like you can win NFTs off them and get better stuff that way. And so the model, I think, is really user friendly. And they need ORID though for a couple different reasons, right? One, they want to help pay for the users for that easy onboarding. Two, they want the user to actually own their keys, and the Wax Cloud Wallet, you can't ever get the keys out. So that was for them a big issue. They're also believers in the user really owning the keys. And three, they have a token that's on Ethereum, the RFox token, but then games that are on Wax and other projects they're launching that are on different chains, right? And so that multi-chain approach is really important to their long run, strategy.
So as a gamer, I could have one user ID for multiple blockchains, like for multiple different games, and it's like all wallets are derived from that like user ID and password.
Well, so yeah, you would, from your perspective, you would have the one login, right? So, I'm Josh, I'm logging in with my Google account. From the blockchain's perspective, we do give you totally different public keys each time to protect your privacy. So the games wouldn't necessarily know you're the same person, but you would have the same login experience for all the different games.
Can you generate a new public key within the same game for different things?
Yeah. And so if you were a game developer, you could tell us, make this user another wallet, or give this Wax user an Ethereum wallet, or give this Ethereum user a Wax wallet. We've got APIs for all that. And so, yeah, if that's needed for some reason, it's totally doable.
We talked quite a bit about privacy in our last interview. And that was one thing that it's very important to me. So if you have, all these different wallets from a single user ID, what do you have to do to make sure that ID is secure so that you don't, get hacked or lose it or something?
Our CTO Trey is really fanatical about this stuff, which is great. And so we have a whole bunch of steps we take to protect people's keys. But the most important one, I think, is that we use Google Confidential Computing environment for our off-chain stuff. And so when we're decrypting the key to sign a transaction for you on a blockchain, that's done in a separate environment with machine level encryption. So even if you put a gun to my head, I cannot see those private keys. Even in memory, I don't see those private keys. Like, our company does not see those private keys. And so that's, I think, a really valuable piece of what we've done. And we actually got featured with Google as a partner because of that. And, it's really exciting that you can kind of blend the best of these worlds, the blockchain world and the old school Web 2.0 world, to do something that's both easy and secure.
And this is a question I asked last time, can you do two-factor authentication with that password?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, sometimes it's even like 3 factors, because basically your Google account or Apple account probably already has 2-factor turned on. And then what we give you is we give you an additional factor behind that, so that if you can get through the Google 2-factor, then you can use a PIN or a password to sign a transaction with that ORID. And so that might be, let's say you want to transfer an NFT on Wax, or, move some tokens on Ethereum, whatever it is. First, you prove your identity with your Google login, then you use the second factor of your PIN or password.
Yeah, no, that actually brings up like another question that I have. If you're just using your Google password for it, doesn't that mean that Google would then have access to your account?
We have like a separate password beyond that. So yeah, that is, even if someone is logged in with your Google account, like if they got your Google password, they wouldn't be able to control your assets in ORID unless they also got your second factor secret, whatever that is. And so, yeah, it is an extra level of security there, particularly because a lot of people leave their web browser open with Google logged in, right? Or Apple logged in or whatever. I know I do. And so we wanted to make sure we had that extra security just in case, to kind of protect people from their own,
Right. And I would just add that for people listening, that I think it's a good idea to have, I don't have an Apple account, but with my Google account, I also have a hardware authenticator. So you can use either the Google Titan or the YubiKey. So if somebody tries to log in on a new device, they have to have the actual, hardware key, kind of like you'd have to, like, comparable to a ledger in order to sign in on a new device. So that if somebody gets access to your primary email address, one, it's already really terrible because that's what everything else is based on. But if you also have your ORID, which is connected to blockchain accounts on it too, very much recommend getting a hardware-based authenticator. I'm very fanatical.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. We're working on some really cool stuff with a project called Humanode. We've got a partnership with them. So a bunch of details to come out about that soon, but that actually uses biometric identification with using your face, which again, very hard to steal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, keep things secure. Take security seriously. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so if you mentioned Red Fox Labs is doing this, and I mentioned I think gaming could benefit from this. If I'm a game developer, what benefit does implementing ORID within my game over either doing something on my own or just doing a typical like MetaMask connection for my game?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit as a game developer is not making your users leave your app, right? So most games are in native apps, whether it's on the phone or it's on the laptop or it's on the PlayStation or whatever. And obviously on the PlayStation, you can't use MetaMask. On the phone, you maybe can't use MetaMask depending on what the game is doing. And so ORID lets you have the keys in the cloud. And so as long as the phone's online, you could be signing transactions without leaving the app. So yeah, like when you're using the CogSlam game, you don't have to keep going to another app to approve things, which I think is just really helpful for the user experience.
Yeah, and it seems like either if as a user, you either need to go back and sign multiple, like many transactions, or you have to deposit your funds into their smart contract, and then do it. You can do it all within the app there, but then you're no longer in control of your funds because they're sitting in a smart contract. So yeah, I think that's cool. And actually, like, just as a gamer, I think that would be like, I would prefer to do that because I have so many different wallets trying to manage it all. It just becomes really hectic. And even for somebody who's an enthusiast, it's a lot. So for somebody who's just, coming from like traditional gaming or coming from Web 2 to try and learn all of this on different chains and stuff, it's a mess. So yeah, I definitely think having one single login for it is the only way that it's going to get any adoption.
Yeah, especially when you're thinking about these folks that are like a casual gamer who found it in the Google Play Store or whatever. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, I don't even know what MetaMask is, let alone you just got me to download your app and now I've got to leave and download another app, right? Like, it's just a lot to ask.
Uninstalled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think, I didn't even think about it from that regard, if somebody just like finding it and trying to play it that way. So yeah, I think it's the only way that would work. Let's switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to talk about OR vaults. Maybe just explain what they are first.
Yeah, so OR Vault is like the multi-sig version of ORID. So it has that same sort of easy login and cross-chain characteristics, but it's designed for teams that are managing digital assets. So it's a multi-sig wallet. We have native multi-sig on chains where that's possible, and then smart contract multi-sig where it's not. So it's a non-custodial multi-sig wallet, but it's designed to be sort of a DocuSign-like experience where you get an email from someone you work with, hey, can you sign this? And then you sign the transaction. I'm going to send 100 tokens to Josh or whatever it is. One of the cool subtleties too is we do have a custom transaction field in it. Most multi-sigs don't have this, where you could actually sign anything that you're doing on the blockchain with the multi-sig, like deploying a smart contract or things like that. So for people that are, really deep in the space, I think it's a pretty powerful tool.
What's the significance of that?
Typically when you're deploying a smart contract to a blockchain, whatever developer is deploying it, it'll be tied to their private keys, right? They have the right power on that contract. And so with the multi-sig, you can actually say, okay, no one can update this smart contract or no one can deploy this smart contract without 3 of 5 people who maybe founded this DAO signing off on it or run this foundation or whatever it is. So, mostly people use it for moving tokens around. Oh, we're going to pay this grant. But a lot of times there may actually be more sophisticated things they could do by controlling those deploys.
Yeah, that actually, I'm kind of, I'm not a smart contract developer, but I'm a little surprised that that's the way it is, because a lot of smart contracts also have a proxy. So if one person could change it, then they could upgrade the smart contract and do something that could bypass the multi-sig if we're just talking about transfers. Maybe they're like burning tokens in one wallet and minting them in another wallet or something. That's kind of what comes to mind. So yeah, I think that's sounds like something that should already be the case.
You can do it like on Ethereum. You could do that in your smart contract, but it's a lot of effort. And do most people do it? I doubt it. Probably most smart contract developers just deploy it with their own keys, and there it is, right? And so I think, again, this is the kind of stuff, as the industry grows up, people need to start taking it into account, right? That these things are going to be there forever and they should be run by a team and not entrusted to any one person.
So with the Ore Vault, you mentioned using it with DAOs. So I think when we talked about it before, you were saying basically like any kind of business or foundation can do this, but is this specifically available for DAOs to use?
Not yet, but in Q2, we're going to release a bunch of DAO features in Ore Vault. So we've been doing a lot of research, meeting with a lot of DAOs, trying to understand what they need and how we can help them with Ore Vault. And, obviously the core of what we do is easy to use cross-chain, right? That's what we come to the table with. But the details are really important for like what people actually need. And so that's a big part of our future this year. We actually just recruited a team out of Block One, these 3 guys who just recently joined, 2 directors of engineering and a VP of strategy. And the VP of strategy, this guy, Rick, just is so into DAOs, and he's brought so much great energy and gotten everyone really excited. And we've been meeting with really cool people, and it's just amazing to see what people are planning for the future with DAOs.
If there's an existing DAO, and when you guys have this rolled out, can an existing DAO update to implement this kind of thing into their governance?
That is a great question. So we are going to add a feature for importing like a Gnosis Safe, which most DAOs use today. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to just import what you already have. We don't do that yet, but it's absolutely on the roadmap.
Okay. Let's, I want to talk a little bit, because when we talked last time, it was before your IDO. So now the token's out. And I know you have it, it's natively on Ethereum. Do you have any other chains that are less expensive for it?
Yeah, so there's a wrapped version on Polygon using the official Polygon bridge. And that was done by the team at ScaleSwap, which is just a really cool decentralization, right? That this other team is out there doing it, right? And then Chainport did the wrapped version on BSC, Binance Smart Chain. And on February 28th, we're getting listed, the Ore token is getting listed on Bitmart. So that'll be a centralized exchange, obviously no gas fees. And that's pretty exciting too.
And that'll be the first centralized exchange that's listed on?
Yeah, first centralized exchange.
Nice, that's awesome. Aside from, and you said that's going to happen on the 28th, so on Monday.
Yeah.
Aside from that, do you have any, like, what other really interesting things that you have that you're excited about, that you think the community would be excited about?
Well, I'm super excited about the Polygon integration. Dealing with the team over there, they're amazing to work with, and that's super cool, and I can't wait for that to happen. Like I said, that one's coming really soon. And then the DAO tools, like I really think if you look many years down the road, you can use DAOs to replace so many, nonprofit agreements, for-profit corporations, investment funds, and it can be more efficient, cheaper, and really democratize access to those kinds of things. I'm a multiple time startup founder. It's expensive. It's hard to get your legal documents in order. It's hard to get bank accounts. And when you're working across different countries, it's really, really hard. And I don't think that's necessarily fair to people all over the world who may want their own chance to start a company or to collaborate on a nonprofit with people from other countries. And this is a way to do that is still transparent and has some rules around it and, gives people the opportunity to participate in this global system without needing, 30 grand just to get, their company up and running.
In developing countries, it seems like that's just, it's insurmountable to try and get started with something like that. So, and even in more affluent countries, 30 grand for a lot of people it's a hard pill to swallow if you wanted to try and do something. So yeah, I completely agree. I think, I'm really excited to see especially as we can improve DAO governance structures and get more people interested in it. I think that the benefits that are going to come from it and from decentralization from it, like that's what got me in the space to begin with.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, we have been working with, it's still stealth mode, so I can't really talk about it much, but we have been working with one company that's banking the unbanked in Latin America. And it's just amazing to see what's possible with the blockchain, because you've got people who are doing jobs on their phone and getting paid into a crypto wallet, and they never needed a bank account, but they can still have a salary and a job. And it's like leapfrogging that whole step of like, how do we get traditional banking into this particular area? It's like, you may not need it. You've got cell phones, you've got blockchains, you can get paid in stable coins and be off to the races. So that's the kind of stuff that really gets me excited. And like you said, it's what got me excited about the industry to begin with. And it's cool to see that actually starting to happen for real.
I completely agree. Oh yeah. So how if somebody wants to kind of like maybe use ORID or kind of check out how this stuff works, what's the best way for somebody to get involved?
Yeah, so the or.network website has great developer docs and things like that. So definitely feel free to go there and check it out. And you can see the block producers that are running the blockchain and all that good stuff, the white paper. But yeah, feel free. There's links to our Telegram, Twitter, email, contact forms, whatever. Like, we're definitely an open door. Everyone is interested in helping developers build really cool stuff or helping DAOs get launched or, anything like that. So we're here if you want to talk. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at mblinder. Telegram is Marc Icon, and, just reach out.
Yeah. Well, and I'll have links to all that stuff in the description so people can check it out.
Cool.
Thanks for coming up on the channel again, Marc. I really appreciate it. And then, I'm excited to see, future developments of all of this.
Yeah, me too. Great talking to you.